to MindTap for Olpin Hesson's Stress Management for Life 5th edition. We're going to take a look at the unique activities, where you'll find them, and how they're built for easier curriculum integration. The digital learning path provides your students with a coherently structured experience. And we're going to talk about the design decisions that Cengage made as a part of our mission to ensure your confidence and help you create an effective, quality learning experience. With MindTap solutions, you can quickly evaluate student engagement and progress using our analytics platform, and we'll be able to see more of that with the populated gradebook. So at the top of our learning path, you're going to find that the first item is going to be the Getting Started video. This video explains the MindTap course's organization and features, and it orients your students in how they can get the most from using MindTap in the course. The video is about 3 minutes. The next item on the learning path is our YouTube video playlist. And this is a collection of videos that have been curated to enhance student understanding of material from the chapters. Students can access YouTube videos in this one spot that allow them to review concepts later. So here are a list of those things that are in that YouTube playlist. Then we have our stress relief audio files. These audio files provide relaxation exercises in which Michael Olpin guides students through each technique. Students are introduced to each, students can practice the relaxation techniques discussed in this course. So they'll just download those and have access to them as a zip file. Then when we open up a chapter, every chapter is going to have the same type of flow. So let's take a look at chapter 3, for example. Every chapter begins with a survey and knowledge check. With the survey, students evaluate their stressors and stress levels and receive personalized feedback on their scores. Then they receive an interpretation, some feedback, and then they take a short quiz. And this just introduces the chapter topic and determining how it affects the student's life. And so they do receive immediate feedback, and then it takes them back to the learning path. The next thing within the chapter is the reading. So the e-textbook is infused into MindTap and allows students to read the text, have the text read to them. They can highlight, they can take notes, they can bookmark pages, print pages as needed. The menu on the front page of the e-textbook allows students to navigate quickly to a certain section. And they can also use the arrows to navigate from page to page. With the highlighting, they can highlight information that they may want to reference later. They can also take notes. As they go from page to page, if they need to increase the size of the font, they can. If they want the page read to them, they can click on the read speaker.
Stress and the Big Bear. Why do you feel stressed?
And the entire page will be read to them. They can also take content from a page and create a flashcard based on that highlighted text. And so it's added to our pre-made deck of key terms. Anything that students highlight or add notes to becomes part of their study hub. With the study hub, students can create a study guide based on any highlighting or notes that they've done. So we can see the notes that we've made, we can see where we've highlighted text, and that's printable. You can also take this information and use it as you build out a study guide. And so I'm going to include my notes, my key terms, my highlighting. I'm going to include it all. So now students have this study guide that would include any key terms that were in that chapter, any notes, and then they can print this out or they can review it right here within MindTap. Another great thing about the e-textbook is that you can edit it. So if you click on the edit tool, that allows you to add in content within the reading. So if I wanted to add a video, or if I had a PDF or some kind of file that I wanted to incorporate into the reading so that students encounter it as they're reading the text, then I can do that. I can also add a video. So we have the ability to embed a YouTube video right within the reading. You can add text before or after. And so there, that video has been added into the learning path, and it's students can play it and then continue on with reading. And it can also be removed. So after the chapter reading, students will open up the Apply It folder to show that they can apply the knowledge that they have just received from the reading. And they'll do that in a variety of ways. The first way is with the chapter quiz. So the chapter quiz is a 7-question auto-graded quiz, and it tests students on concepts from the chapter. Students are going to get immediate feedback and explanations on why their answers are right or wrong. So I didn't do so well, okay? Then after the quiz, you're going to see a reflection. The reflections currently are set to practice, so anything that says practice can be set or counted towards a grade. So within MindTap, you can change whatever you want. So if you want these graded activities to be practiced, then you can change them. using our edit tool feature. So let's just take a look at what the reflections are. This gives students the ability to reflect on the course concepts as they relate to their own lives. And many of these activities are adapted from the former student activities manual. So this one's asking, this says you're on a camping trip in the wilderness with your friends, you're having a great time, then a huge bear emerges. What is the first thought you'll have? And let's see, after reading the scenario, make a list of physiological responses that happen in the body during the fight or flight response. Use information from chapter 3 to help you create the list. Be sure to include normal functions that turn off during the fight or flight response, such as the immune system, the digestive system, and so forth. So they can either type in their response in the box here, or they can upload a file, and then they just submit it here. So with this type of assignment, this would be a manually graded assignment where you can use our 3-pane grade book to see all of your students at one time and see their responses all on one page, and then just apply your score to their answers. So there are a couple reflections in this particular chapter. The next type of assignment that we'll see is the technique, a technique assignment. And you're going to see this in every chapter. So with the technique assignment, students practice stress management techniques such as yoga, autogenics, and deep breathing, and answer questions about their experiences. And by trying each of the techniques discussed in the course, students can find the ones that work best for them and take these stress management skills with them after the term ends. So this one has a couple of videos and then free response of how it would be helpful, how they could incorporate it into their daily routine. The next type of activity within the learning path are journal entries. And this is the last item in the Apply It folder. So students answer questions about their personal stress and their reactions to the chapter content via either written or video responses. So our Bongo app allows students to upload videos of themselves, or it could be an upload of a screen recording that they may do. But in this particular type of assignment, it's asking them to either write out their response or record a video of themselves responding to the question. With the Bongo activities as well, you can edit these and allow students to work with a partner. Maybe have peer review, so maybe they can comment on each other's responses and maybe in some way making it more engaging, and knowing that some of the responses that they might have, others are having it even within their own class. So the final thing within the chapter is going to be our pre-made flashcards that students can access from within the learning path, but also there is a app on the right-hand side that also houses all of the flashcards for all of the chapters. So students can, use this to help them study key terms in the chapter. If they need to create a card, they can do so by clicking on Create a Card. And their card can be either text or image, so either one works. And you can click on the settings to decide what you want to show first, the key term or the definition. And they have the ability to print the deck as well. So that's the learning path. As I said before, anything that you want to change, you can. So on the dark blue bar, there's the ability to edit. So when you turn on edit, then you noticed some boxes came along the left-hand side, and then you had some tools that appeared on the right-hand side of each activity. The boxes on the left allow you to do batch editing. So you can select multiple activities within a chapter or multiple chapters at one time and apply a setting. So, for instance, if I want to assign chapters 1 and 2, I can select chapters 1 and 2 using the batch editing boxes. And then on the orange bar at the bottom, batch actions, I can edit the settings. So maybe I want to change everything from graded to practice or practice to graded. Or maybe I want to set due dates for all of those assignments. So if class starts on the 29th, then I'm saying I want chapters 1 and 2 to be done and due by September 11th, and then I can set maybe September 12th. I can set the time as well here. You also have the ability to set available dates. This will allow you to make sure students are focused on what you are covering at the time and not jumping too far ahead. So now I can see I have a due date set for everything in chapters 1 and 2. You can also hide activities. So you could do it on a one-on-one basis, or you can do it using the batch editing. So for instance, maybe you only want to have students do one reflection per chapter. You can go in and you can hide. So you can pick and choose. Maybe I only want them to do one of the technique assignments. Then you can hide one. So that students are only seeing what you want them to focus on. Maybe you also want to set this journal activity from practice to graded. If you have multiple journals that you want, or maybe you want the reflection and the journal to count towards the grade, you can select multiple assignments, click on batch actions, and select edit settings, and we can change them to graded. So now everything within the apply it for chapter 1 is set as a graded assignment. So with our editing feature, you can also add additional activities. So if you have a PDF, Excel spreadsheet, or a PowerPoint that you want to incorporate into the learning path, then you can do that. You can add flashcards, though the flashcards are already within each chapter, so you wouldn't really need to do that unless you were creating some additional flashcards. You can add videos. You can create an additional homework activity for students. You can link to external websites, and you can use our Bongo app, which is over here on the right hand side, to create additional video assignments, group projects for students using the Bongo app, creating an assessment, and non-MindTap or uploading documents from OneDrive. So you can add these in to the learning path, and you can place them wherever you want them to go. In regards to the gradebook, MindTap does come with a full gradebook, and you can either access it here as the Progress app, or you can click on Open Gradebook. With this particular course, since there aren't any students populated, we're not going to see the typical gradebook, but I can share with you that it will have a home page where you can see a list of upcoming assignments. You can see what percentage of students have completed things, and on average, what they have scored so far. You'll be able to see at a glance how students in the class are doing on our analytics page. It will, their engagement is based on 12 points of data, including things like how often they've logged in, how many activities they've completed, how much time they spent in the course, things like that. The grade book is going to be your typical grade book with your list of students going down the left, the assignments that you've assigned going across the top, and then their scores in the middle. On that gradebook page, you will have the ability to edit scores. You can give extensions to specific students, things like that. And then on the settings, you have the ability to create categories within MindTap. But if you are integrating with Canvas, then you may not need to do that, because you can, set up your categories on the assignments page in Canvas and create categories that way. So creating categories within MindTap is helpful if you are not integrating with Canvas. You can set a late policy. So if you don't want students coming to you to open things up after the due date, you can go ahead and say, I'm going to allow you to turn in this assignment up to 7 days after the due date, so that they still have some flexibility to turn in things after the due date. If you want to go a step further and penalize students, you can, for turning things in late. So if they, in those 7 days after the due date, you can penalize them, and you can decide how much. You can say 1 all the way up to 100% off, in those 7 days that they turned it in late. So maybe 10%. You can set that for all assignments, or you can set it for specific assignments, and then you just click apply. So there's a lot of flexibility. You don't have to set a late penalty. You can set a late policy without it, or you can say, I don't want to set a late policy. I want students to turn things in on time, and I don't want to deal with the late penalty, etc. On this roster page, you'll have a list of students and their email addresses, and you'll have the ability to compose an email and email all students at one time from MindTap. And just to go over some of the key things over here, just notice that there is the full ebook that is available. So perhaps if a student is working on, let's see, maybe they're working on the chapter quiz and they want to reference the textbook, then they can do that. So they can have the assignment open and they can search and reference the text this way. So that's MindTap in a nutshell for Stress Management for Life 5th edition. I'm available to answer any questions that you might have, and I hope to work with you soon on implementing this in your class this fall.